There's a new Predator movie out. It just came out on Hulu last week. It's called Predator Killer of Killers. It's an anthology story set throughout many different time periods. And I thought it was okay. Like, when I first saw the trailer for this movie, I honestly didn't have that much faith in it. It- I think one of the things that definitely kept my excitement pretty low was just the fact that there was also another Predator movie coming out later this year, and it it was like announced, I don't know, a week or two after, like it got a trailer like a week or two after the trailer for Predator Killer of Killers came out, and it made me feel like uh, they were kind of Disneyfying the Predator franchise, making it so that they were going to be releasing a whole bunch of new entries, like basically putting all these like new Predator projects on a assembly line and like just releasing them like year after year. And eventually it was going to get like oversaturated, like what they did with Marvel or with Star Wars. And it kind of left me feeling a little bit like, I don't know, I don't, how do I describe this? It left me feeling kind of anxious or just unhopeful, I guess, about these new Predator projects that would be coming out. Like, it just seemed like Disney was just releasing a whole bunch of them just for the sake of it, to keep the brand alive. And it just didn't really seem like there was any passion behind it. And when watching this movie, I kind of felt that a little bit. Now, that's not saying it was bad or that it was passionless. I could definitely tell people tried when putting this movie together. I mean, it didn't have to be animated, but it was. And I just think as a whole, this movie was just largely very underwhelming. And I feel like Disney's whole Disneyfying method, if that's what I'm gonna call it, I can definitely feel a lot of that in this movie, like a little bit, just from how close of a window between this movie's release and the next Predator movie's release. It's just like it seems like they're putting less effort into each new installment. And I kind of felt that with this one, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that was genuinely done really well, and I want to get into that. So, first off, for those who don't know, uh, Disney acquired the rights to the Predator franchise when they bought 20th Century Fox. And Disney also owns Hulu, which is also partnered with Fox, so it made it so that a lot of Fox's movies were on Hulu. And a few years back, there was like right around the time the acquisition, or yeah, that's what it is. Right around the time that Disney acquired Fox, there was a new Predator movie in development that eventually ended up coming out right around the time that Disney gained Fox. And that movie was called Prey. Now, Prey had a really strange release because it didn't come out in theaters because it was like still right in the butt ass middle of the pandemic. But it was a movie that when it finally came out, because like I remember hearing about this movie for years before it came out, but there was a while where like nobody was really talking about it because we didn't hear a whole lot about it. All we knew was that it was like set in the past and it would be like a prequel to the first movie. But I remember hearing about it and thinking that, man, this sounds actually pretty cool. And so the movie ended up coming out and everyone loved it. Like, genuinely. This movie, like, so many people were talking about it. And it was like, everyone was saying, oh, it was the big comeback of the Predator franchise. Uh, no, not really. This movie's really good. Prey was genuinely really good. It was mixing up the formula, but also going back to basics for the Predator series. I give it props for that, but at the same time, it's a film that I feel largely underwhelmed me, mostly down to the fact that it's just like it's the same thing again. I think it's one of the things that I would say was wrong with Alien Romulus, another reboot and sort of reboot, where it's like it's outside of it being like nostalgia pandering and all. Alien Romulus is just an incredibly basic movie. There is very little special or distinctive about it, especially when comparing it to the other Alien movies. Because like Predator and Alien, I think one of the best things about the both of these series is that each entry feels different from one another. Like they're all very different. And so whenever they go back to like basics or try and bring back what made the series made the series great in the first place, it always leaves it feeling kind of hollow and shallow, and it doesn't make the movie stand out as much anymore. And I think that was definitely what was wrong with Alien Romulus. And with Prey, I think that I sort of felt that a little bit, but I think that the movie being set in a different time period and genuinely doing some new and creative things in the movie to keep it fresh definitely made it stand out more. But as a whole, I thought it was just okay. Now that's not me being negative. It's just like I just genuinely thought that it was just okay. I've only seen it twice since it came out, but I remember liking it. Like I think it was a pretty good movie. It wasn't for me personally. Now, when I heard that they were making more Predator stuff because of the success of Prey, and I found out that the director of that movie was going to be involved in some of these future projects, it well, it had a lot of people excited, and I can understand why. And there was reason to be excited for it because, Prey was pretty good, especially in comparison to the other Predator movies, which, by the way, those other Predator movies after the first one, they weren't very good. I think that was another thing that definitely made Prey stand out more because, like, opposed to those other movies, it was actually like a substantial step up in quality. I heard people saying it was better than the original. I very much so beg to differ. The original is probably one of my favorite movies ever made, but like Predator 2 and The Predator were really fucking bad. Like insanely so. I think Predator 2 has some high points in it, but The Predator is honestly one of the worst like reboot retro sequels I have ever fucking seen. Like it is genuinely terrible. Now as for that other one, Predators, it was fine. I didn't really care too much for it. It was just okay. But Prey, yeah, that was a substantial step up in quality. So going into these future Predator projects or films or shows or whatever you want to call them, going into these knowing that the people who made Prey were going to be involved in it, there was genuine reason to be excited for it, and I was looking forward to what they could possibly bring to the series, and I was not expecting an anthology movie. I also feel that when you rehash the same thing that one of the prior films did, but you do it in substantially worse quality, it definitely negatively affects the quality of the movie overall. And I think that is very much so true here because this movie does like a lot of brand new things with the series. Like, of course, the whole setting it in different time periods. I mean, Prey did that, but I think the difference being in what Prey did was that that was sort of a back to basics to like what the original Predator movie was, but like just during a different time period. This movie sort of does that, but not to the same extent by any means. Instead, it's more like a it's kind of a rehashing of the other movies, but it's also very different from those ones as well. And I think it benefits from a lot of that, but it's also a detriment to the movie because I don't really think it has a distinctive identity. I think that's what I'm looking for here. It's three different, well, technically four. Well, it's three different stories that all involve predators, and they're set during different time periods. They all have uh, different things about them. Like they're all unique, but I don't think any of the three main stories are necessarily good. Mostly down to the fact that they're not given time to be fleshed out. Like, I mean, granted, they were never going to have enough time to begin with. Mostly down to the fact that these movies, like each story is given about 20 minutes a pop to tell its story, and there are four of them in the movie, so it's kind of hard for them to really be given the proper amount of time to flesh them out. And you can definitely feel, especially in the first and third ones, that they are really rushing through the stories to like get to the end of the movie because like they just don't have enough time. That's why I think if they went the TV show route, it definitely would have been a lot better because it probably would have meant more time to actually flesh a lot of these stories out. But I digress. Let's actually talk about the stories themselves. So the first one is called The Shield, and it's set during the when is this? The Viking times. It was pretty good. I liked a lot of things about it. I think visually, it was probably the most striking of the three. Like the just the way that the colors contrasted, the way the fire looked and all that. I think that it was very ugly. Like it's supposed to kind of look like that. I think that it was made by the same people who did Arcane, which I haven't seen, but I've heard something about them being involved in this. And I think the art style is kind of ugly, but that's not saying that it's bad. I think if something looks ugly, that can be like a good thing. But this like first story is pretty decent. I'll say that much. I love how the characters are just like savage and like there really isn't like a likable character at all in any of these, like at least not in this first story, because it's like these are savages. They're the closest thing to cavemen in these movies. Like this was a very dark time for the human race. It was filled with war and conflict and stuff like that. And you can definitely feel that in this movie because these characters look so worn down and just so angry and just ferocious. And the way that the animation is able to show that expression, I like it manages to give off that feeling, that vibe so well. It's honestly really crazy. And the predator in this short, like holy shit. I think something the live action movies were never really able to do was just show how massive the predators actually are. I mean, they did showcase it, but I think that exaggerating it and making it so that they're basically the size of the fucking Hulk, like I honestly think that adds a lot of personality to some of the predators, especially in this thing in this like movie because if they just look like how they did in the normal movies, I don't really think it would work the same way. So by giving them just this gigantic stature and making them like incredibly imposing, like it goes a long way. I think that something that I can say is a definite is that the Predator designs and what they actually do in all four of the segments in this movie is honestly fantastic. Like I like that they added like extra lore to the Predator series. That's definitely a plus, but even then, the Predators are still really cool. All of them are really cool. The designs are fantastic, and their usage is also really solid as well. In saying that, though, that's where one of my negatives comes into play, and that is that I've heard a bit of criticism about the actual like lore and how this affects or contradicts some things about it. Um, I couldn't give less of a shit about that. But I will say that one of the things that I think made the first Predator movie so special to me is the fact that the Predator, like, he's different from like a normal slasher villain. Like, he has like an honor system and all that. I don't really feel that way with the Predators in this movie because they don't give off like warrior vibes. They just seem more like slasher villains. They don't really have like that moment with the character where it's like they've earned the character's respect. They know they've been beaten. And like I know to be fair in the first movie the Predator like he got his ass beat and then he decided to go out in a dishonorable way and just blow himself up. And I understand that's kind of contradicting what I'm saying, but I think the way to look about it is the fact that like I can't believe I'm saying this. Predator 2, as much as I dislike that movie, it went a long way in showing there was like an honor code and a hierarchy to the predators, the Yautja. And I don't really feel that in this movie, like the way that Donald Glover's The way that Donald Glover's character like earned the respect of the Predators. That was pretty cool, but we don't really get to see that in this movie in the same way because essentially they just feel like savage monsters in all three, actually all four of these segments. They don't feel really distinctive from one another. They're all cowards. They're all just fucking rabid animals. And I think that's one of the things that the Predator never was. Sure, the Predators are fucking merciless, sore losers. Like, they'll kill people. But I think the difference being is that they didn't just go about it in the same haphazard way as they do in, like, this movie. I mean, they kill a lot of people all throughout this series. But I think there was a certain method to it that I just don't think that I don't know how to express this properly. There's something off about how the predators behave in this movie that in the other movies I don't think that was really an issue. Now I got off topic there for a second, but that first story, it was pretty good. But the second one I think is a substantial step up in quality. This is a case where the animation really shines, where it's like the expressiveness of the characters really it's expressed very well in this one specifically because it uses a lot of visual storytelling. Because like the characters don't speak English. I mean, there's subtitles, but like I digress. Like just the way they go about it is honestly really cool. Plus the action, which by the way, I'm gonna say this: the action in all like the entire movie is fantastic, really good. It does kind of it's cool. Like the gore is cool. I always feel like it's been a part of the Predator series, but I feel like there's a difference between being overly edgy and gory with a lot of these and having like reserved gore. There's a good balance, a good mix between those, and I don't think this movie really hits that because I think the gore is great, but I also think it goes overboard like insanely so. Like it's actually wild just how fucking violent this movie is. But I digress. The second one, this like second segment is pretty good. It's about shit. I didn't even tell you what the first one was about. So it's about these Vikings going to like this lady. Her father was this dude, this like emperor guy, made her kill her father, and so now she's going to get revenge on him. And she has her son with her, and like this whole group of Vikings go with her. And after slaughtering everyone, they come to like this town or village or fortress, and they break in there, kill everyone, and then they get to the emperor guy, and he just like mocks and bullies the fuck out of this lady, only for her son to go around and kill him, just like cut his head, just like clean off. And then the predator's there, so it sees all this going down, and so the predator just appears, and honestly, it's the best introduction for the predator in any of these three. And the predator just mercilessly kills every single one of the group, except for the lady, of course, which she she's the only one that survives, and like her son gets killed off, and she manages to beat the predator by like using its like heat sense the heat thing where like it can only see like heat. Seeing as this is set in the cold, she's able to outsmart it and successfully beat it. It was pretty cool. But in the second story, it's about this samurai or this ninja who dishonors himself and loses in some kind of ceremonial like sword match. And the story jumps ahead 20 years to when he's an adult, and it's about him coming back and or he beats everyone's asses. He sneaks into this like temple and he beats everyone's asses, and then he comes and he fights the person who beat him in that ceremony back at the start of the short. And then the predator shows up and it forces the two of them to work together, and it's like them rekindling their friendship by like beating this greater evil. And that's all like well and dandy, and then it recreates the ending to Black Panther. So yeah, that was something. And I think, as I already said before, I think as a whole, the second short is definitely the best of the three. Well, best of the four. But then the third one comes around, and I think it's easily the worst of the segments. It's set during World War II, during like the Pacific conflict, and it's about this guy who gets drafted in the war, and then he's like a fighter pilot and a mechanic, and he helps like some of his like he helps like his squadron take down the a predator who has like its ship, and basically almost the whole short is him like that's what all of these are. Like a majority of these are just the fight against the predator, which, like we said before, the runtime definitely was a detriment to the quality of these movies. But even then, like they definitely could have done like a little bit better with this, because we really don't get to know any of these characters that well. We understand the basics about them, but at the same time it's also like they really don't establish them well. We don't really get to care for them. We know things about them, but we also don't really know them either. We don't get enough time to properly flesh them out. We know everything we need to know, but what we learn is not really beneficial in the same way as like fleshing out the characters in like Alien, for example. We spend a lot of time with them, getting to know them before shit gets real. And even then, once like the action ramps up and stuff, we get like more character beats from them. And I know that's different because that's an almost 2 hour movie, and it's only one story opposed to how this is four different stories. Well, three stories that like interconnect into one larger one, which we'll talk about that in a second. But there is a way to go about this and make it so that you're just given enough time to properly flesh everything out. Like they could have just done a show and made every episode like 30 or 40 minutes. More time with these characters would have gone a long way. And you can definitely feel that like rush feeling by the end of this movie, because by the time the ending rolls around, like it causes serious fucking whiplash. So all the characters who beat the predators in the previous three stories, they're all gathered and captured and brought to the predator's homeworld, and they all have to fight each other to the death in like this coliseum. And whoever wins gets to like face off against this predator king guy. The Norse lady, she calls him the Grendel King, like the story. So they fight, and this is something that I actually thought this movie was gonna do, and actually have like some kind of shock ending or something like that, where it's like the three of them actually do end up killing each other, and only one survives. Of course, they didn't end up doing that, and instead, there are so many cases in this last segment where they fight each other, they almost kill each other, but then it like something happens and they don't end up doing it. And they can't really communicate with one another, at least not like successfully, because they all speak different languages. But in the end, two of them end up getting away, but one, the Norse lady, she like sacrifices herself so that the other two can get away, and she ends up getting captured and deep froze, and geez, there's like a post credit scene sort of where, well, before we talk about that, I want to mention the fact that this movie ends on a cliffhanger. Okay, that is kind of a weird route to take. I definitely think that ending this movie on a cliffhanger did not do it any good whatsoever. In fact, I think that's a substantial detriment to this movie, because essentially the characters are now stranded on this alien world. They have a ship, but they're being hunted down by dozens of predators, and it's this really cool shot. Honestly, like I think that like ending frame is one of my favorites, like in the whole movie. But like, ooh, geez, there's a post credit scene that shows the girl from Prey. She's also deep froze herself, and I'm assuming that's setting up some kind of sequel, and she's involved in it in some way. I heard something about them making a sequel to Prey, and I think that's probably what they're gonna do if they ever follow up on the story from this movie. But Predator, Killer of Killers. Um, it's something, all right. Like I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine, but I'm gonna be honest. It is just such a painfully average movie. I really don't think it does anything spectacular. I don't think it does anything fun. But like, it is perfectly fine. It is average. You should go check it out. You'll probably enjoy it, but just as a whole, this movie is incredibly underwhelming. But yeah, that's Predator, Killer of Killers. If you want me to talk about the other Predator movies, or want me to do another video on like, just give me a recommendation for what you want me to review or do next. Leave it in like the comments below. But I need to figure out like an ending segment or something because I just end the videos. They just cut to black.